I think it's become commonplace in the United States to equate innovation with Silicon Valley, and I don't think that's always fair. There are multiple kinds of innovation, and if you look at at China's national innovation goals, they aren't necessarily to develop the kind of ecosystem that Silicon Valley represents, but they're still trying to have an innovative ecosystem. You can go back as far as you want. You can say, well, the United States has the biggest, the most successful, innovative ecosystem that's out there. But you go back a few years, and I remember the conversation between Richard Nixon as vice president and Khrushchev in China, where after Sputnik, where Nixon said, "Well, you guys may have be ahead of us in space, but we're ahead of you in color TV." So there are different kinds of innovations, and I think in the United States, I think we've clearly become very good at the kind of commercialized innovation that drives economy, drives new ventures, and that kind of thing. China doesn't seem to value that much, that as much as kind of the big, national goals, grand frontier innovations, rather than the kind of incremental innovation that they've actually become very, very good at. I think it's, there's an old canard that China can't be as innovative, or Asian countries can't be as innovative because their educational system kind of relies on rote learning as opposed to the kind of free-flowing, creative education that a country like the United States prides itself on. I think in practice, a lot of Chinese innovation is quite groundbreaking. It's just not as groundbreaking as I think a lot of Chinese that want to see the frontier innovations and see China as really at the forefront of kind of global innovation that they aspire to. I think some comment. It's both. I mean, most Chinese that have taken the sea turtle route and become educated overseas in some engineering or other field and have gone back to China to become successful entrepreneurs, successful technologists. They do obviously start from a Chinese educational base. The Chinese educational system for advanced engineering, advanced science is not as good as the United States, and so it's natural that Chinese entrepreneurs or Chinese scientists come to the United States for advanced training. Whether they go back is a function of whether there's opportunity. And I think many of them found that there has been great opportunity for entrepreneurs and technologists, whether that's in China's state sector with space technology or military technology, or even in China's internet sector, which is, the Wild West and is really quite extraordinary. So I think it's a combination of East and West, but I think one of the telling signs is that any really successful Chinese venture, or technology venture, has at its core Chinese that have been educated in the West. I think compared to other parts of Asia, they're probably pretty similar. Getting a business off the ground has become easier in China for new ventures. So starting a new technology company, an internet company in China is relatively easy. But once you've started it, having access to things like banking services or legal services or the kind of capital services that venture capitalists provide is a lot harder. The infrastructure for supporting innovations is far underdeveloped when you look at the United States, Europe, or even more advanced parts of Asia, Korea, and Japan. So they face fewer burdens than, say, in Vietnam or even in Indonesia or even India. But by and large, the Chinese government has recognized that getting entrepreneurs into solution, getting their technology into commercial solution is good for employment. It's good for the Chinese economy generally, and so I think they're trying to do the right thing in terms of improving services for entrepreneurs at that level. Well, being a market a pro-market Westerner. I mean, the natural inclination is to say that unless China really allows for a much more open and free, and I use that word advisedly, information system. In other words, the ability to exchange information not just with other entrepreneurs within China, but across geographies, across technology platforms is really very important. And I think that's a place where China has fallen down. If you talk to Chinese entrepreneurs or even Chinese researchers, whether in academic fields or otherwise, the most common complaint is the constrictions on their ability to access information, technical or otherwise, that is critical to moving their businesses forward, moving their research forward. So I think that's again, displaying my Western bias, I think that better information flows and more access to information is probably the thing that is likely to hold China back in terms of reaching its innovation goals over the next 3 to 5 years. It's in the wrong direction now, for sure. And I think we all understand, the political sensitivities that are involved and the realities that are involved in trying to manage a wild and woolly group of Chinese entrepreneurs and technologists as they get out there. But I think it really is it's a problem that they may find will come to hurt them.